to have Tulio Gonçalves as our fireside chat guest tonight. Tulio is a video game developer and founder. He's the founder of his second video game startup, and we're going to talk about that. To Dream is the name of the company. We'll talk about that. We'll talk a little bit about how he got to Dream. So we're just going to talk about some stuff and his startup story. So please welcome Tulio Gonçalves. Okay, so I shared with Tulio a list of questions. So I guess, the first one, just kind of briefly tell us your startup story. You're not from Muscatine originally. How did you get here? How did you then, since you've been here, go into this whole startup entrepreneurial mindset thing?
Without digressing, right?
Yeah.
Because I can go on 2-3 hours on this. Well, first thing is, I was born in Brazil. I grew up there, and I've been working in IT since 1997. And around about 2004, I got together with a group of people over the internet about developing a game for the Sega Genesis. It was something that was unheard of, anyone making a game after the system was already put off the market, and unheard of having anything being developed on like a commercial grade type of product, that's what we were aiming for. We wanted to get a game that would be rivaling with any other game that was released back in the day.
And Sega Genesis, because when you were a little shaver, that's probably what you played?
Yes. Since I was a teenager, that was my favorite system. So there was a lot of people very passionate about developing something for that system. So we got together and we started like building up all the engines and tools and things like to actually build the game. And that was in about 2004. And around 2008, 2006, I was working for a company which was actually hired by H&I Corporation to bring IT people to US, like to complement their staff. They were doing staff augmentation essentially. And because I had some level of proficient English back then, I got chosen to come and be here in Muscatine. Which was kind of surprising to me to know there was like such a large company here in Muscatine, like in Brazil, 25,000 population town. Doesn't have like a lot of business and things going on like this, so it was very surprising. And once I come here, I definitely got myself very comfortable with the environment and very acquainted with all the people around me, very hospitable people, so I enjoy a lot of that. And at the same time as I was designing, I was working for H&I was designing my game on my spare time. So basically, all the nights and all the weekends, I will go home and have my breakfast, spend some time with my wife, and then just go to the room and code. So that was done until 2010, which that's when we got the game actually released.
Okay. So the game was Pier Solar, correct?
Yes.
Had the game been released before you did your Kickstarter campaign?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was that release.
Tell us briefly a little bit about that journey, I guess, then. So you had your game.
Right.
A bunch of guys from all over the world.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, our original idea was to not just build a game and like have people play on their computers, because obviously Sega Genesis have emulators that you can run on a computer. You just get the game file and you load it and you can play the game. But no, we wanted people to be able to experience the game in the machine itself. And originally, we were going to do a Sega CD game. Sega CD is an add-on for the Genesis, which uses a CD, which is easier because anyone can go and burn on their CD burner. But it proven way harder than we expected once we did that migration from testing on emulator to actually started testing on real hardware. And since the platform is already off the market, the Sega doesn't support it anymore. And then we thought that instead of struggling a lot, let's just go back to the cartridge format.
Okay.
Because those games use physical cartridges, right? So, which was a good thing from the perspective of we know exactly how to work with this. We can get the game running on high speed, no need for loading times and the stuff. But on the other hand, it put an obstacle for people who want to play the game to have the game, because now you need to have a cartridge. And unlike the CD, in which I can just put the image out there for people to download and burn their CDs, we can't do that with a cartridge. You need to have the physical media, and that costs money. So that's when we decided to actually go and research manufacturing. And that was a big journey, like you said. My business partner was working in France, and he got a job in China. And so he actually moved to China, and he started like moving around Hong Kong, Shenzhen, and getting quotes from factories and then kind of getting a feel of that market. And eventually we figured out that we could do it. So we put the game in 2008, we put the game for pre-ordering. And essentially we wanted to manufacture 2,000 units. And that pre-ordering for 2,000 units of a system that died in 1995 ended in around March of the next year, so 2009. So by then, we already had all the orders that we needed to raise enough money to go and do the manufacturing. And that's when we started working on the design of the packaging and the cartridge media and everything.
And that was before you did the Kickstarter campaign?
Yeah, way before.
Okay. So you had this product ready to go to market on, I'm assuming, a relatively small scale, and you decided you wanted to be able to scale it. So is that the reason for the Kickstarter?
Yeah, well, there are many reasons, but the main reason was that a lot of people don't have Sega Genesis anymore, but a lot of people still enjoys the type of game that we made. So after we got the game manufactured and released, and we did many batches of re-releases of the game because the demand was still on and on. Every batch of 2,000 units would sell in like 2 weeks. So we just thought like, well, there's still a lot of people who wants to play this, and we started researching about how much it would cost to rebuild the game with like HD graphics.
Okay.
And that's when we saw, well, that's going to cost us a lot of money. And what are the alternatives? So first alternative that I went to banks and I said, hey, what's up? Want to develop this product, how can I get this money? Well, it's simple. You have a house, you can put it as a collateral, I'll give you the money. So I say, well, not exactly what I want to do right now. And then I went.
Banks in Muscatine aren't necessarily video game industry savvy.
Well, I don't know. I can't really say about that, but I'm sure they support technology business and that kind of stuff too. But that's just the way banking loan works, right? You have to have something as a guarantee. So we look at Kickstarter, and it was prominent. There was projects in Kickstarter going on and games going on. So we just made our campaign and just put it out there. And we funded in half of the period that we expected. So in 30 days, we funded in about 15 days.
What was your goal?
The goal was $139,000.
$139,000 to be fully funded for the campaign to work.
Yes.
And what did you end up with?
$230,000.
$230,000. Okay. Yeah. In how much time? 2 months?
1 month.
1 month.
Yes, it was 30 days campaign.
Okay.
So yeah, so once we got funded, that's when we actually got the whole design going with all the platforms.
So from there, with all the other platforms, then talk about the path into the other game platforms beyond the Sega Genesis. That was the original product and the original plan, but now you're in tight with the big names.
Yes. We planned to get the game released for PC and Xbox 360, because Xbox 360 had a program called XNA program in which anyone can sign up for $99. And I did sign up. So I realized like I can develop the game with XNA and publish through Microsoft, no problem. But even though we did that, with that in mind, by the time when we were finishing our Kickstarter, we were getting emails from Nintendo and saying, hey, we saw your campaign. We think your game is a good fit for the Wii U. And why don't you, why won't we have a meeting and talk about it? And then we talked about it. They got us licensed. And then later on, we got contacted by Sony. Like a week and a half later, we got contacted by Sony. And they got us signed up as well. And then we were in the business. We were getting dev kits.
We were talking earlier about the obstacles with Xbox. Tell us that, and then tell us how how Xbox finally said, or Microsoft finally said, okay.
Yeah, well, the thing is that by the time when we did a Kickstarter in 2012, by 2013, they kind of announced that they were phasing out the XNA program. And there was a lot of people in the XNA program saying their games were not being reviewed anymore. And I was like, okay, the only way that we can do this is with a full publisher license, which is the XDK. So I started applying for XDK license. You can just go to Microsoft website, fill a form, pitch your game, and send it to them. And we did it, and then no reply in a month, so we did it again, and no reply, and we did it again, and we kept doing it. Keep sending them the email saying, hey, we have this is our form, it's all filled, and did we have this game? And unfortunately, Microsoft was not responding to that. And by I think about September 2013, I decided to make an announcement that we got licensed by Sony, because even though we were licensed by Sony, since it wasn't a main platform, I want to more to surprise people with that. But I decided to make that announcement and give a status update on the Microsoft thing. So I made a video because most of our updates on Kickstarter were video updates. I think it's the best way to communicate to people. So I did a video and say, hey, we got licensed by Sony. We're very happy about that, and etc. And then, by the way, about Microsoft, we've been sending them emails monthly and no reply. And 2 days later, I got called by director of ID at Xbox.
Okay, cool.
There was a big buzz from the people, from our backers on the forums, that Microsoft reads those forums, of course. They want to know what players want. And they just called me and say, well, I heard you're having issues with licensing. I said, yeah. Well, actually, we haven't heard of you at all. And it's like, okay, well, we're going to get this solved. And next week, I was signing papers. So.
Cool. So your Kickstarter campaign, how many backers did you have? Did you tell me?
3,500.
3,500
plus.
and I'm assuming that these are more than just avid video game fans. These are people that are very vocal in the market.
Well, I would say many of them, especially Xbox gamers, modern gamers, like to go and voice their opinion a lot. And we also had a lot of support from people who actually still play the Dreamcast, the Sega Dreamcast, because that was one of the platforms that we announced for. And they were amazing in supporting us, and they paid a big chunk of that Kickstarter. But definitely having those players of Xbox and PC players, which went there and say those things about we want to see this game, why isn't Microsoft moving? Make a big difference.
Okay. You when we were talking earlier, you said the power of the crowd. I mean, that
Yes.
was a big thing that drove.
Yes, absolutely.
So from Kickstarter being a crowdfunding platform, but it's not just the funding, it's also the voice of the crowd.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, so talk to us about getting from there with Watermelon Corporation, which was your first startup that launched Pier Solar, and now you've left Watermelon and you're moving into Dream. Tell us a little bit about, I guess, the transition. How did you go from the one company? What were some of the reasons to move on? And then what are your plans moving forward?
Well, we at Watermelon, initially at Watermelon, we built a large community. And that was one of the big steps that enabled us to like run a Kickstarter and everything. Basically, once we got our product launched, we decided to come up with a website in which people would come and participate and contribute to the game development in a very unique way. Essentially, we do crowdsourcing and crowdfunding in a single thing. That's what the Magical Game Factory is. People can, whenever we decide to do a project, we say, okay, let's design a game. So what platform do you guys want? And they go there and they vote. Okay, then the Super Nintendo won. So let's do a Super Nintendo game. So what genre? So we put many options of genre. And then what subgenre? Let's mix up genres and see what happens. And then people vote, and then we got there. So, okay, what's the setting? And then we keep asking questions and getting information to see what kind of game those people want to play. But the catch is, if you want to vote, you need to contribute financially to that game. And it doesn't matter if it's $1 or if it's 100, but it's just you contribute and you get a right to vote. Obviously, the more you contribute, the more weight your vote has, and that's a big play in how the system works. And it was a very interesting experience that worked, to see that people were actually, sometimes when you see what a question that person doesn't want to win, and they start like investing more so that they get more decision power. So you see the questions turning. It was a very interesting experience in that. And then we built a very tight community, a lot of people which talk and discuss, and it's very lively. And then from that, enabled us to run the Kickstarter, which showed me especially that there is a lot of people out there that likes the kind of games that we do, but don't have the retro systems. You know? They don't have Super Nintendos or Sega Genesis, or maybe not even the Dreamcast, but they want that kind of game to be on it. But my business partner was really more focused on the retro stuff. That's what he really wants to run. So I figured that the best would be for me to let him run with that and turn on like this new company in which we would be able to focus on this.
So developing the games, not as much specifically for a system or a platform.
Yeah, actually now most of the games are released to all platforms, all the modern platforms, and that's what we're going with. We don't want to be exclusive on anything. We just want everybody, as much people as possible, to be able to play.
Okay, so that takes us then to starting to Dream. Tell us about your dream for To Dream.
Well, big dream for To Dream is really to be able to develop games with the whole creativity that we have, and get basically no boundaries. It's like people can come and talk to us, and like very open relationship with the people who we are going to develop the games for. That's kind of lessons learned from the Magical Game Factory. It's like people like to interact, they like to talk about. And also, we want to not only develop our own stuff, but we also want to be able to serve as publisher and as consultant to other people who wanted to develop games. So if you are there and if you have this great game idea and you sit down all the nights and you put it to work and your game is nice and you think you want to put it on the market, then you can come talk to me, and then we can go and submit your concept to Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, and get a game certified and get it published. And or if you having like you want to certify your game, you want just like to ask questions, you want consulting service, and we provide that too. So that's basically the direction that we want to go with.
So the company, To Dream, you have a number of projects, a number of game projects in the works.
Right.
And so that's developing the product. What do you envision the company to look like? 6 months down the road, a year down the road, 5 years down the road?
With Watermelon, I had a big experience with working with people all spread out. So programmer in Spain, graphic designer in Germany, music composer in Sweden, story writer in Canada, and it keeps going.
Right.
It's all over. And that is great because then you don't have boundaries with talents. Like if you're good in what you do, you can still work for us. So that's great. On the other hand, you lose a bit of the synergy. And my big wish for To Dream is to be able to have this pool of talents that are there, the core, the people who is like a really creative mind, like working in synergy. And like I have this great idea, come to my table, let me show you, and like brainstorm right there. That's what I want.
Right here in your office.
Yes,
in
exactly.
Muscatine,
Yeah,
as
of
opposed
course.
to, yeah.
Yes, exactly. And well, of course, if people want to join from far away, and then that's fine. I mean, we've worked with that before, and we know it works. So we are definitely open for that type of interaction, but definitely want to have a team with a core so that everybody can talk and discuss, and it's the synergy really helps. And I want to build, at least in the next 6 months, build this core team with the big creative people, and then moving on, like adding people to kind of learn from them, and, kind of groom talents, so we get new people in, we talk to them, and they kind of, they learn how your philosophy works, and then once the company grows, they start taking up bigger roles, and so on and so forth.
Okay, so bringing talent into To Dream here in Muscatine, where will you find that talent, and what will it take to get people, whether they're video game developers, graphic artists, story writers, whatever they may be, what will it take to get those people into your company? What do you need to do?
First, I think it's to get ourselves known, get the word out that we are here, that we are doing this, and we think the potential is here. There's no need to go look anywhere. It's like there's smart people in Muscatine and everywhere around the Midwest, And and then I think the next thing is really kind of bringing that mindset that we can do this here. You don't have to go to California to develop games. You can do it anywhere.
So California is the West Coast or the left coast, and then there's the Pacific Coast, East Coast. So we're the mid coast.
We're the mid coast.
We're the mid coast. Because the
Corn
river's
Valley.
right out there. The Corn Valley. Yeah, that doesn't work. Okay. Okay, so what's next steps specifically? What's next for To Dream?
Well, it's really getting our capital going. It's a big part in what we need to get the company running, and just really develop the games. And we have at least 7 games concepts already done. We are building the tool set. It's really about just getting the resources ready and starting to run the company. It's really
Okay. So if money was not an issue, you had this wonderful flow stream of money coming in right now, how fast would you get your first product to market?
I would say 6 to 8 months.
Okay. So we can look for, by this time next year, we certainly will have To Dream products all over the world in
Hopefully at least
video
2 games
game
launched.
systems. 2 games. by then. Okay.
Hopefully.
Okay. I've got a couple of kind of umbrella wrap-up questions. The first is, Tulio, what would you want other entrepreneurs, other folks in the room, to learn from your experiences so far?
I would say first thing is never give up your ideas. Like if you're already a business owner and you're going through obstacles and issues, don't worry, don't give up. Like just give your best, and you will find solutions and you get things going. And for those who are not entrepreneurs yet, I would say keep chasing your dreams because they are your dreams. Nobody else would make them happen for you. It has to be you. You're the one who has to go there and work those nights and scratch your head as much as necessary and have the things like build up stuff. It doesn't have to be overnight. It doesn't have to be over a month. It can take 6 years like it took for us to get our first game released. And but eventually it happened. And when it happened, you see all that reward of see your product there or whatever it is you make. If you provide service, you will see your customer happy. That's really rewarding. And I would say never give up of doing that. So if you want it, just go ahead, chase it. You'll get it.
Cool. All right, so what's the worst part about being an entrepreneur?
Worst, I would say it's a bit of the pressure of being the one who carries on. Like you carry a burden of lots of people that are following what you're doing. So I would say it's that little pressure that is always there, like it cannot fail because there are other people out there that if I fail, I affect all of them. And that's I would say that would be the thing that is a little tough sometimes.
Okay.
I got that similar feeling during my projects because of what's pre-ordering. So I always had that thing on the back of my mind that people already paid for this. I need to deliver. They're counting on me. And I think after you move on into the company having employees and everything, it's like you feel responsible for your family. You know, it's like they are under you, so you have to do your best so that they can also thrive. Yeah, that's one of them.
That's the worst. Okay. So what's the best part about being an entrepreneur?
Well, you don't owe anybody any explanation. So you have full creative freedom. So yeah, I want to do this because I believe in this. I don't have to go there and convince someone that you have a good idea. So you have a good idea, and you will make it, and you will prove to everyone without even have to ask them anything. It's like, here, this is what I did, and people will look and say, well, this is great, and I enjoy this. And if you fail, you will learn from it, and you'll be able to do it again and keep going. So that freedom of like being able to do whatever you want, I would say is the best part.
Awesome. Okay, let's open this up for a Q&A.
This is awesome to hear your story. So is Two Dreams still connected to the Magic Game Factory? Or if not, will you recreate something like that?
Yeah, our Magical Game Factory is Watermelon, is associated fully with Watermelon. So as we build our company and our games, one of the things that we're going to build is our community infrastructure. So most likely we're going to go back to Magical Game Factory and say, hey guys, this is our new company. Please come and check our website and try to get people to also participate in our community. But yeah, we're gonna rebuild it, but it's kind of a thing that everyone who participated in Watermelon knew what was my role in it. So I know I can count on support of a lot of people already.
Do you still have an HNI job?
I do not. I quit HNI in
So I want to hear about the decision to give up your day job.
Oh, okay.
Or whatever time you worked.
Right. So in 2013, that was when I quit HNI, and it's a wonderful place to work at. And it's a very friendly environment. I was really happy working there. There wasn't anything that I would say, I want to quit this because I hate this job. That wasn't my case. It was just that I decided to pursue my dream and make happen my game. And once we got funded in Kickstarter and we got that chunk of money, I made many calculations to see like how long do I need to get this game released, and if I work full time on it, how much faster can I get it done, as opposed as if I work part time, and which my most productive time is actually spent at H&I, and then how much I can get done faster if I just focus 100% on it. And once we got agreed that my wife and I agreed that it was the right thing to do, then I just went and wrote my resignation letter, and I got a lot of questions. Why are you doing this? Is there anything that we can do to keep you? But I say, well, I have to try this. If I don't, I would never know if it would have worked. So it is that moment that I had enough security to do it. So I just went ahead and did.
They say being an entrepreneur isn't necessarily skills or technical abilities, it's more of a mindset. And as you said, one of the worst things about being an entrepreneur is that pressure of all the people that you have behind you. So when you've come to those moments, have you ever felt like I can't do this, I want to give up? And when you do, what's your mindset to get through it?
I think the moments that I've been faced with that, it was actually my business partner which was going to say, I'm going to give this up. And I was like, no, I can't. There's people that are counting on us. That persistence is stronger than anything. It's that drive to finish what you started. And even when I got like I had my creative differences with my partner, and say, I'm going to give this up and let him finish it. But I always get that feeling that, no, I started this and I have to go through. And so that, I would say, tenacity is what kept me like from giving up any time. That was when I decided to quit Watermelon. I say, I will quit. So I decided. That was in November last year. And then I said, but I'm not quitting until my product is manufactured. So I made sure that all the development was completed, and I got all sent to manufacturing, and the manufacturing was completed. It's like, okay, now it's only shipping left. Now I can leave. Shipping, they can handle shipping without me. So,
To kind of follow up the first question that Andrew asked about the magical game factory, the community really, not crowdfunding, but crowd development, so to speak. You've proven that can work and be effective in the video game development business. What about in other industries? Do you think it's something that could work?
definitely, product development, anything. I mean, that's one thing you see a lot on Kickstarter, because Kickstarter has a lot of inventions. And a lot of times we see people posting a product, and then as they are going through that campaign, there's a lot of feedback. People saying, wow, your product should have this, you should have that. And you see the product changing during the campaign and say, we heard you, we are changing this, we are making this. I think it applies to everything. The closer any manufacturer, any person who builds any product, the closer they are from their audience, the more acceptance they will get. So anyone can benefit from doing that.
Cool, good. Anybody else? Last one? Anybody? No? All right. Well, I have something for you. Say thank you, Tulio. We just have it's just a simple little picture. It's got Tulio's face on there, but it says up here, Startup Grind Muscatine. It says here, I want to put a ding in the universe. That's my favorite Steve Jobs quote. And we want to say thank you for sharing your ding with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.